As Rio Tinto becomes increasingly focused on the social responsibility of its mining operations, the establishment of Kennecott Minerals' Greens Creek mine in Alaska presented a number of challenges for both Rio Tinto and for the local community itself. The Greens Creek mine is situated 20 kilometers away from the state capital of Juneau, a town with a mining history dating back to the gold rush days. The mine produces lead, silver, zinc and gold, and ore body passes from underground to a mill concentrator, with resulting concentrates being shipped to smelters around the world.
Greens Creek operates on Admiralty Island, which is a pristine wilderness area, long recognised for a lot of stricter environmental requirements because of the nature of southeast Alaska.
The entire island is a protected national monument. It also stands on the edge of the even more heavily regulated northern wilderness area. Both Alaska and the rest of the world were closely watching how Kennecott Minerals, as part of the Rio Tinto group, would rise to these challenges.
Caring for the environment is really not at all an afterthought. It has to be a pre-thought. You have to really build into your plans what are the significant activities that could cause problems and make sure they're addressed in the planning phases. Otherwise, you end up having to try and react after the fact to problems.
Conscious of the need to minimize environmental impact, the whole operation has disturbed less than 150 hectares of surface land. The tailings, exhaust gases, and the quality of water the mine discharges are closely regulated by independent bodies.
Or most frequently expressed were visual concerns. They didn't want to see the mine, they wanted it to blend in with the environment. And then for the subsistence communities, they didn't want any effects to their access to the fish and wildlife that they usually had used in the past.
As the building of accommodation is restricted on the island, the majority of the workforce is ferried to and from the mainland every day.
All of the people who work at Greens Creek are not allowed to do any hunting or fishing as long as they've come out here on company transport, so we're not impacting these resources differentially.
One of the key ways in which Greens Creek built up trust and mutual respect with the local community was by being totally open about their activities at the mine.
Because we're so isolated out here on Admiralty Island, we have to make a concerted effort to get in and talk to people and bring people out here to show them what's going on. That includes all the regulators, the community leaders. Our local community down in Angoon have been up a couple of times to visit us, just so everybody gets comfortable.
Greens Creek has been a success partly because they have been willing to go around to the different service clubs and the different organizations in the community and explain what they're doing. I think knowledge about an industry makes it a lot more acceptable. We fear what we don't know, but as we know more, we fear less.
With visitors attracted by the unspoilt scenery, the town of Juneau has become one of the busiest cruise ports in the world. How can tourism and mining exist side by side?
One of the best parts about Greens Creek as a community partner has been their willingness to be part of the community. They've helped with redoing one of our trails that was in really sad repair. They've also prepared sites for a celebration of Gold Rush days, so they've been involved in keeping alive the history of the community.
As well as minimizing its environmental impact, the mine is also making a positive economic impact in terms of jobs created either directly or indirectly by the presence of the mine.
Greens Creek employs about 270 people in the area, and it accounts for about $26 million in payroll. That's a big boost to the economy of this community, and of course, because we're the largest community in that area, Greens Creek gets a lot of their goods and services from the Juneau community, probably in the neighborhood of about $12 million US.
Greens Creek has also tried to ensure that the population shares in the benefits too.
Our community has always looked at Greens Creek because of the employment opportunities that always existed out there. We've always felt like that. Since we were neighbors living on the same island, that we had a common goal, which was to serve each other and to create employment opportunities.
In today's mining industry, how a company sets about reclaiming the land it's used is just as important as the way it was managed during its productive life.
What we're going to try and do from next year is start concurrent reclamation, which we see as being very important to be able to demonstrate to both the regulators and the community that we're serious about the reclamation. And that obviously helps in our long-term sustainable development. If we can point to something and say, look, that was a pile of rock, it's now a covered pile of rock, and it's got trees growing out of it, and we're still monitoring the water, and we demonstrate that the cap design that we've got here will actually work.
I really enjoy working with Greens Creek predominantly because I don't have to work with Greens Creek. They operate well, they operate cleanly, we don't get complaints, we don't have any particular difficulties, we don't have air and water quality problems, and they are good taxpayers.